Hey, class, just catching up with you here. I'm back in town after a great wedding weekend last week. I had a chance to check in on your discussion on the John Maxwell video, and you guys, as always, are all over it. It was nice to see that several of you were really identifying with the law of intentionality. Some of you had kind of fallen away from that in your careers, but in the end, there's only one person who's responsible for your career, and that's you. And so some of you have been taking that law of intentionality and personalizing it, and that's really great. That's really what this course is about. So I'm delighted that you've discovered that on your own. I thought John did a really nice job in there. His talk about strengths and weaknesses, which dovetails with our work on strengths-based leadership and finding leveraging your strengths, I thought was really good. His comments about weaknesses and even Buckingham's comments about weaknesses. In my career, when I've ran into these guys talking that way, it was rather liberating. I think that John really makes the point well that if you have weaknesses that are holding you back, certainly you've got to address those. But in terms of talents and skills, things that we're weak in, we saw that even with what we read in strengths-based leadership, that it's only going to get you so far. Your maximum value to the organization is by leveraging your strengths, understanding what they are, leveraging them, and getting other people to help you find more time to spend time in your strengths. Really key, and you all have been embracing that and understanding it. Hopefully, you're trying to apply that at work or maybe in some of your volunteer efforts where you can spend more time doing the things that you're best at. Let's see, I guess that's all I wanted to say about that. We are moving this week. We're going to go back and revisit your EQ work, and you'll be working on an action plan for social awareness. Hopefully your action plans that you have, you're seeing some progress. Action plans are supposed to be action-based, acting upon them. So I trust that that's happening. You'll talk about that some at the end of the course in your final project. So please make sure that you're pressing on with that. And then also we're going to spend a little more time reading in Five Dysfunctions. Just about finished the book. There's one section that we'll save for later, but you're going to spend some more time with Catherine and her team. And the videos I'm going to have you watching is actually Patrick Lencioni talking about what seems to be his favorite dysfunction or behavior out of his model, and that's conflict. And in my opinion, as I've come to learn more and more about his model, and when I think about my own experience in organizations, conflict kind of, it seems to me to be the hinge that the rest of that whole model swings on. Pivots around trust, but then the commitment, accountability, and results. It just all hinges around our ability to engage in good, productive conflict. And he's got several videos that help us get to that. But let me tell you a story that happened with me a couple of years ago that really kind of crystallized the whole idea of constructive conflict. I was doing a series of diversity seminars for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers that are based up in Millington, here in Shelby County at the Navy base. And they also had a 7-person group that was down in Huntsville, Alabama. So rather than bringing them all up here, I volunteered to go down there, hadn't been to Huntsville. Got on site, found their meeting room and started to set up. It was actually more like a boardroom. It was that nice. Lady came in and sat down, and we started talking, and told her that I thought this room was going to work out really well. There were only 7 of them, so with me that's 8. It was just perfect. And she said, "Yeah, this is our shout room." And I said, "Okay, not sure I've ever been in one of those. Why don't you tell me about that?" And she said, "Well, whenever we've got to figure something out, when we've got a problem, a challenge, we come in here and we shout at each other and get it all figured out. Well, I'm not sure that that's quite that dramatic, but what she was indicating is that they all trust each other enough. They've worked with each other long enough. They have a common motive in discovering and developing the best possible solution. And because they're intelligent, passionate employees, sometimes the discussion might get a little spirited. So I guess maybe I'd consider that their spirit room. But anyway, although that might sound a little strange to us, it really gets to the heart of what Lencioni talks about in conflict. They were able to walk in and at a pin drop start to engage in good constructive conflict because they trusted each other. And so you might be thinking about your shout room. Do you have one? What would it take in your organization to have a shout room where everybody can really engage, everybody feels heard, everybody's encouraged to speak? Actually, it might be a ground rule that no one moves forward until everybody does weigh in, because only then can you start moving up Lencioni's model into commitment and accountability and results. So keep that concept of the shout room in mind as you work through the material this week, but as you try to apply this in your own organization. And if you want to, we'll see it in your discussions, but if you want to shout it out someplace else, that'd be great if you're able to actually get a little shout room activity going. So keep up the good work, and I'll talk to you next week.